Simplest.io.
And welcome to a new episode of Friends with Boundary. My name is Chris Chung, a PhD in counselor education and also a licensed marriage and family therapist. I am here to be your friend in talking about boundaries. Welcome all. I hope you all enjoyed our last episode. We had a great conversation with Jacqueline, and she will be back with us for a future episode that is in the books. Also, wow, just really amazed. I think a lot of you really did enjoy the discussion that we had, our conversations about boundaries and what we have observed. Got a lot of new people who found the podcast. So I hope to continue to keep that train going. And really, what I most want is to offer and open a dialogue with all of you, having a discussion with each and every one of you about what your thoughts are on boundaries, how you see it, what topics you want us to touch on for sure. So today we are continuing this discussion on boundaries in relationships, and that will be the theme for the upcoming few episodes as well. This idea came to me the past weekend when I was listening to my wife describe one of the docu-series on Netflix that talks about the son of Sam, known as David Berkowitz. I think that's the name. Uh, some favorite pastime of hers to really understand and watch a lot of these docu-series on serial killers. I think the psychology behind them is fascinating as well, though it's never really been my thing. Do enjoy talking to her about it. But I digress. One of the things she brought up is one of the victims or potential victims of David, potentially victim, I say, is because he had all the intentions of murdering this young couple that he saw in the middle of, in the night somewhere where they had like a broken down vehicle. But just as he was about to execute his plan, the couple asked him for help. Asked him, maybe there was some pleading, maybe some desperation in their voice, but something about the way that they asked for his help activated something deeply profound in David. And I think if you learn a little bit about his story, David was probably carrying around with him this negative core belief that he is unwanted, that he's rejected by everyone. But the moment that these couple asked him for help, he helped them, and was sort of felt like a kind stranger in that moment to that couple. They had no idea who he was. He hasn't really started on his murder spree yet at that point, but something about that interaction led to a different outcome, led to, I think, what David, even in his own his own admission, arose something in him to offer help, to feel wanted, and kind of change his overall plans. So in today's discussion, the cost of feeling wanted is the title of the show. And unlike David, who really did have a more positive ending for the couple of being feeling wanted, I want to touch on this idea that there is something very powerful about feeling useful, feeling needed, feeling worthy. And it really brings up something deep within us and myself as well. I can definitely identify with some elements of this, of being wanted. Can, for a moment, maybe for that brief interaction, maybe for that brief, um, you know, not demand, what is the word I'm looking for? That brief, just that brief interaction changes something within us, changes our, maybe some of our long held guidelines, long held values. It's almost like you've agreed to something for someone, even though in your gut it didn't sit right with you. So, what is the purpose? What is the motivation behind that? Maybe we don't want to lose that person. Maybe we don't want to lose that connection. Or maybe it invokes in us this pride, or this, maybe not pride is not the right word, but this, um, just this pull of being someone who can be important for someone else. But that little moment can also betray ourselves, can also move us to not be ourselves. So let's have a discussion about that. And just to remind you all, though I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, the content of this podcast is not to replace therapy. It's not to be taken as therapy advice, though it may share a lot of the same elements with it. If you do need someone to help you find your path, help you find your inner voice, help you find healing, you know, just know that, seeking therapy is one of the most profound things, that one of the most positive things that you can do for yourselves. It is just as important as, working out, going to the gym, or taking care of yourself. Mental health and going to see a counselor can help you organize your thoughts, having a clarity, and, bring up a lot of positive outlook and actions, and clarifying your own values within yourself. So, if you need help finding a therapist, I am sure to be open to helping you connect with the ones that may be of most help to you here in the Miami area, where I live. And so, yeah, reach out. But let's dive back into our episode's topic. In previous episodes, we have already touched on boundaries in romantic relationship, attachment styles, that the feeling of guilt in setting limits, and the idea of fight, flight, freeze, or fawning, the self abandonment in fawning, right? We'll take it a step further. The feeling of being wanted can lead to the cost of self abandonment in the name of being wanted. Well, I just repeated myself there. Apologize. But here's the thing: wanting to be wanted is human, right? We're wired for connection, and that desire help us really bring ourselves to be of use, be of helpful, and definitely can also in turn have that reciprocity from someone else to be kind to us back, maybe, or to see us as a person of worth, a person of value. We may start uh, you know, developing a potential friendship, potential long term, any type of ship. Just fill in the blank. But when that desire tips into desperation, we start making compromises, giving up little pieces of ourselves just to keep a connection, and not even a positive connection. It could just be a connection in that we perceive to be important. And if you grew up in a family where love was conditional, you probably learned the unspoken rule: connection is earned by obedience, it's earned by compliance. Say yes, don't rock the boat, keep the peace. That pattern doesn't just vanish when we grow up. It follows us right into our romantic relationship, friendships, even into our careers with our colleagues, coworkers, and maybe our bosses, our superiors, our supervisors, someone that we ought to, give 100% of ourselves, so that we have this appearance, a, to be irreplaceable, to be of value to the company, to the family, to the friend, and useful, right? Those three elements: usefulness, value, and the appearance of valuable. Or did I say valuable again? Please rewind and figure out what my third one is, and it'll come back to me as I'm talking in ADHD mode. Anxious attachment makes this pattern really worse. You're scanning for signs of rejection, and you'll do almost anything to keep that connection alive. And here is the kicker: your brain rewards you for this compliance. Each time that you receive a reinforcement, a compliment, an acknowledgement, feeling seen gives you the temporary relief of "I will not be rejected. I am going to be, find a place for me in this family, in this workplace, in this friendship, in this relationship." The cause is sometimes you will feel misaligned, maybe just questioning whether I gave up a part of myself that I thought was important. That, I shouldn't be lying, I shouldn't be trying to mistreat others or misguide others, deceive others, right? How many of us can you remember being around people who just live a life that does not align with the values that we believe or that aligns with our lives that we think is good, right? Living a life of being respectful, being kind to others. Sometimes we find ourselves in crowds, and I've definitely been guilty of this, particularly in my younger years. To just fit in, I would really be okay with saying certain things, with, you know, taking certain small actions that I didn't think that was me, right? All in the name of not wanting to feel invisible, feeling rejected, feeling disconnected, right? One of the things we find ourselves worse than an outright rejection is feeling invisible, feeling that no matter what you say or do, people are not responding, not reacting, maybe even not even acknowledging. The feeling of being unseen can create this psychological pain within us. And it's something that we're hardwired to avoid experiencing this feeling. Avoidant folks aren't off the hook either. You might compromise by pretending you don't care about things that you actually do care about, just to avoid the appearance of being vulnerable, just avoid conflict, maybe avoiding the fact that if you care, that might be taken away from you, and that hurts more, right? That hurts more when you are so close to gaining what you can not have and have that taken away from you. It's definitely a sore spot. I think if you are an adult in later life, you may have multiple experiences of this, and it really transform you to be more of a callous person, maybe, or one that really wants to protect yourself. And so you are left not wanting to feel, cut off from emotions that helps you feel passionate, helps you feel energized, helps you feel happy, maybe, or maybe even joyful, because we want to avoid the other side of it, which is rejection, which is invisibility. So, walking into several scenarios, let's kind of dive into how these elements may play out. Let's go with dating. I mean, a lot of people do enjoy this discussion, whether you are, you know, young in your teens, in your early young adulthood, middle adulthood, even later adulthood. Dating is happening all over any age group. You go along with someone's, political view, for example. Not entirely accepting, but you're also not rejecting, even though deep down inside, you it matters to you a lot. Now, politics is a very, very uh it has become, let me just put it that way. Politics has become a very polarizing type of topic. But yet I see people, and whether they're real people or not, sometimes these stories get me on the Reddit forums, right? People are willing to hide what they truly believe from someone who they want to date, even though the other person made it very clear that certain political stance are unacceptable to them, and they were outright telling this potential dating partner, and the partner just downplays it, minimizes their own view to date this person, and only later on to find out that they have really different beliefs, and it causes conflict, some confusion, but most importantly, they feel lied to. And that really is a breach of trust. It's not a small thing. I don't want anyone to ever think that lying to your partner is ever going to lead to something positive, right? Lifestyle, pace of intimacy. And, those are areas that we are not trying to make a big deal out of just so we can keep this person with us. Right? The anxious attachment style is coming to life in this. So you are not an outgoing person. You don't enjoy being in crowded spaces, for example. Maybe you and other people may enjoy being with others, don't like the feeling of being holed up alone in the home or being a homebody, right? But we don't bring this up in the fear of losing this potential partner, I will tell you it has not really led to a lot of successful relationships. In fact, it became one where there's a lot of unspoken tension and a lot of just hiding. You start hiding one aspect of your life, you start hiding some other things, and it become a cycle of you know uh, hidden preferences, hidden um, maybe some little white lies that throw in there. Ultimately, it's going to hurt the intimacy aspect. It's going to hurt the honesty aspect, and um, the longer this goes on, the harder it is to reveal that part of yourself, unless you're done with the relationship, right? Unless you're really ready to drop the bomb just to end the relationship. But for to keep all these aspects so hidden, it really creates a very fragile relationship. It has the appearance that we're together. There's so much unspoken preferences, unspoken needs, secrecy. It's just going to um, sit deep within the relationship itself. It's not good for the trust, and trust is a major foundation of any relationship. Let's talk about friendship. You participate in gossip you hate because speaking up might make you an outsider, or a group of friends have very outspoken about how they hate pickleball, for example, and you're like, oh, I love pickleball, but I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to keep quiet, give the appearance that I really you know agree with what they're saying, even throwing in my own shade. Never happened to me, guys. I'm telling you right now, the 30s have been fantastic to know who I can keep around as friends, and who know, if you don't like pickleball, we're just gonna have some sort of acquaintanceship, some distance, and it's okay. But early on, friendships, right? You feel like that they are key aspects of your life, which they can be. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but to compromise yourself, to hide aspects of yourself because they don't agree with it, or this is peer pressure at work, right? Um, when confronted with people, they can outright tell you that they don't succumb to peer pressure, at least for young adults. They will tell me that they think for themselves, they will have their own opinions, and if people don't agree, they can go off, blank off. um, but in all honesty, I still see it in young adults how anxiously attached they are to their friendships. The friendship's opinion matters a lot, and that it can shape their behavior. It may not completely shape their values and their morals, or what their deepest needs are, but on the surface level, it can start changing certain behaviors when you're around these friends, or when you don't want your certain friends to find out about these aspects about you, right? For example, I for the longest time I didn't want people to know that I am very much into aliens and comic books or video games, right? Because it just didn't seem to fit the peer at that time, where everyone seems so serious about their careers. Everyone is discussing important, current trends or current events, and I'm here just figuring out who am I drafting in the 16th round of my dynasty fantasy football league. I had very few people that really go off the deep end. Internet has changed that a little bit, but the thing still remains. There are aspects that we would rather hide and not be honest about ourselves to keep these friends around, to keep people happy, to keep this appearance of being, you know, a part of a group. Evolutionarily speaking, right? Um, we don't want to be ostracized. We don't want to be on the outside looking in. So, yeah, that's one aspect. The last one, work. You ignore your ethical red flags to keep your job security. This one still is very much alive and well. It's so hard to in the counseling world because we want to give each other a benefit of a doubt. We want to have the best view of therapists. But when I hear from clients how their previous therapists are practicing in a way that raises an ethical red flag, I have this ethical obligation to report them or at least confront them. And it's not easy because we have is believed to look into more empathy, look into like, can we rehabilitate? Can we confront? Can we course correct for our fellow therapists? Um, the big answer I've learned over the years is most likely no, because they will operate in the way that they believe is right in their own eyes, even if it's, insurance fraud or not giving the most correct information to the client in the hopes that the client will just comply with the treatment, or they don't even work together with their clients on their treatment plan but just prescribe them. They don't educate them about the field of counseling. So now I'm just talking about counseling. In other work areas, you can definitely see how ethical red flags are abound, right? Someone who didn't follow the protocol, didn't follow procedure, got someone hurt, left information out, didn't finish all their paperwork on time. I'm not saying that you have to be 100% on the spot, but at the same time, there are little things that erode your work ethic, that erode your ethical obligations. And we let them sit there and we let them fester instead of calling them out because we want to maintain a good collegiality or good working space. No matter if they're peers, colleagues, or people who you manage over. These aren't just little compromises, they are micro abandonments, each one chipping away at your self respect. Here's the kicker: the more you do it, the harder it gets to remember who you are without other people's approval. Let me repeat that one more time. The more you do it, the more you compromise yourself, the harder it gets to remember who you are without others' approval. So, what are some fixes? What are some things? Now, this is a ongoing conversation. I'm not saying that these steps will solve everything, but we can let's talk about some ways to really question and hold yourself accountable. One, what are your non-negotiables? Write it down. Take some moment. Pause this. Write down 3 values you will never compromise, no matter who you're with. Loyalty, maybe. Um, just being ethical and honest. Maybe non malfeasance, which do not hurt, do not cause harm. These are just some of the values. Not my top 3, but pretty sure they're in my top 5. Step 2: before saying yes, pause. You're allowed to say, "I need a moment to think about it." You're allowed to create space. You're allowed to say, "I'm not saying yes or no. Give me some time to really be clear about this." Not all situations will afford you that luxury, but I'm telling you, majority of situations do give you that boundary for you to say, let's give me some time to really be thoughtful about this. Number 3, set boundaries that reflect the values that you just wrote down, that reflect your non-negotiables. If a boundary protects a value, it's easier to stand behind it because you know it's not just about this moment, it is about your identity. 4, accept short term discomfort for long term integrity. Some people might leave. Some connections might be lost and it hurts. I'm not going to lie, there will be moments, but it's not going to be forever. The pain is not going to be forever. The people that leave are either not good for for your journey in life, or they may change and come to respect the decisions and the values, and your self respect will shine through. And if you are a person of faith, standing on those values can be a testimony to people, can change people, can help people reflect. can help you yourself grow closer in faith. But if the people leave, they really didn't want you. They really didn't agree with your non negotiables. And that's okay to say then this is not a relationship worth holding on to. So for this week's reflection prompt, how did that exercise do for you? Where did you say yes in times then doing something that you didn't believe in? What did it cost you emotionally? The challenge for you this week: notice one moment where you are tempted to bend your values just to feel wanted. Really reflect on your motivation. Really dig in. What does this mean to you? What does this choice mean to you? Instead choose a micro boundary that honors your truth. Notice what happens in your body. Notice what happens in your emotions. And finally, notice what happens in your relationship. You know, a great book that I think will be helpful in continuing to honor yourself, to develop your identity, develop your boundaries, is one by Dr. Jenny Brown and Jonathan Moffat. Oh, that's the narrator. This is a great book that was recommended to me by my supervisor when I was attaining my licensure. It's known as Growing Yourself Up: How to Bring Your Best to All of Life's Relationship. This is a transformational book for me to really question what my values are if I didn't know them. Can I be articulate them, be clear about them? And then can I live them? And how can I live them? Find that in the show notes. You can find that in through the Amazon affiliate link. If you do decide to buy it, please consider using this link to help support the show. For any purchases that you made, it will really help me continuing on making shows like this, having discussions, bringing on guests. So, ladies and gentlemen, um, you know, listeners, most important of all, friends, let this be a reminder to you. If you being wanted requires you to betray yourself, it's not love, it's a performance. You are not here to audition
Music
for
licensing
worthiness.
reimagined.
You are here to live in your values, be wanted for who you actually are. So, if this episode sparked something for you, share it with someone who's tired of shrinking to fit. Follow me on Instagram at friendswithboundary and tell me your biggest takeaway. Until next time, keep your boundaries close and your values closer. Continue to be a friend with boundary.
Artlist.io. Artlist.io.
And welcome to a new episode of Friends with Boundary. My name is Chris